of that restructure is the new layout in terms of the leadership of the organization. And that leadership features 7 chiefs, one being Beverly Dumas as the chief of staff, newly promoted, of course. I doubt if she's going to really want to say anything, so I'm going to let her off the hook. And I'm really only going to toss it to the chiefs that you haven't heard from to really say anything. But overall, in addition to Ms. Dumas, we have now recruited and hired Mr. Walter Lenny Cooksey as the Chief Operating Officer. I said his whole name because he goes by Lenny. We have, of course, David Stearns that's been holding down the fort for quite a while. He was the first employee action I think I took since I started as the Chief Administrative Officer. We have Patricia Harris Moorhead, who is continuing to serve as our Chief Strategy Officer. And one good thing about her in that role is that she still has the title of Chief Strategy Officer, but we have realigned what that division encompasses, meaning she's focusing on strategy. You know, where everybody's running around focusing on getting the service out today. Well, somebody in our organization has to be tasked with focusing on tomorrow. And so a lot of that planning, business development, all of those functions fall under the Chief Strategy Officer. And then, of course, as you know, FTA has mandated that all transit agencies have a senior official within the agency that reports directly to the CEO, whose focus is safety, security, and emergency management. And so in keeping lockstep with what FTA has mandated, we created the role of Chief Safety Officer, and we have successfully recruited Mr. Charles Hall into that role. He started on October 5th. He is from SCAD, as well as a 27-year veteran of Savannah PD. And we have Nikki Frenny, who has also started as our Chief Communication Officer. And she has an extensive career as well in communications and marketing in the public and the private sector. We have not confirmed our Chief Financial Officer. We are still in the process of firming that. So we'll save that until our next series of committee meetings. But with that will round out the recruitment of the executive leadership team. So I'm going to actually ask Mr. Hall, Mr. Cooksey. Actually, I'm going to change up the order. Ladies first. I'm going to ask Ms. Frenny, since this is the Marketing and External Affairs Committee, to start us off, followed by Mr. Hall, and last but certainly not least, Mr. Cooksey.
Well, thank you so much, and Chairman Edminster and other board members. I am Nikki Frenny. I am a 20-year veteran of public transit. I started my career at the transit agency in Orlando. Worked there about 4 years doing marketing, media relations, and government affairs, and then transitioned to the private side with a private transportation company where I spent the last 16 years as the senior vice president of public affairs and public engagement. So I've worked with several transit agencies, helping with marketing, helping with business development, and also helping with talking to our riders and passengers. I look forward to joining the CAT team formally in November when I close out some of the other business that I've been working on. And I'm really, really looking forward to expanding the CAT in the community initiatives where, and as I've shared with many of my fellow staff members, where I would like to see more engagement in the community, not just with people who ride the bus or people who are transit dependent, but people in the community who we want to support the bus system. So my goal is really to have myself and my team out in the community more, advocating on behalf of CAT for ridership, for increased dollars, and to show the amazing economic impact that the transit system has on this region. So again, I look forward to working with all of you and am looking forward to any ideas that any of you have that can enhance our overall marketing and communication strategy. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Frenning. Mr. Hall.
Yes, as indicated, I've come from SCAD, where I serve in the capacity of Director of Transportation. I also started there actually as Director of Security. Prior to then, I did 27 years on the police department and retired as a captain. I also intertwined into that about 14 years serving as an adjunct professor across several disciplines. I'm really ecstatic to be here at CAT. I'm a native Savannaian, probably one of the few here at CAT at this level. And I'm looking at using all of my experiences to move CAT forward, especially in terms of safety and security. I've noticed that CAT is very progressive in terms of its leadership and where it's headed. And I'm just really glad to be a part of that evolution. And I look forward to working with everyone on the board and my contemporaries. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hall. And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Cooksey, Lenny Cooksey.
Yes, hello, everyone. Something that I didn't mention on the other two calls, something new and something personal, is I love gumbo. So real easy to get to me with a good bowl of gumbo. So, so anyway, I am very excited to be here. I'm very excited to serve the community, the organization. I have 25 years of management experience, both on the private and public side. You know, and for me, what I'm looking to do here and be a part of this team is really to provide the safest transit agency in the country, as well as the most customer focused or customer centric, as well as the most efficient. So I'm excited to do that. I've met some great people here already. So I know we're going to do some great things, and I look forward to working very closely with everyone.
All right. Thank you very much. We're excited to have all three of these accomplished professionals as a part of the CAT family. And of course, I would be remiss without referencing Mr. Enoch Dumas, who served as the interim COO before Mr. Cooksey arrived, and who will be serving in the deputy capacity during the remainder. I can't talk. I think I need to eat, y'all. But the remainder of the tenure. So we're very appreciative to Mr. Dumas for his service. He allowed me to be able to get some sleep over these last few months because I didn't have to serve in dual capacities. And so we appreciate him for serving in that role, as well as everyone in the CAT family for really coming together and getting us through these interesting months that we've been through. So that is our story. Director Edminster, and we're sticking to it, and we're going to turn it back over to you.
Great. Mr. Hall, I do remember we met during the autonomous vehicle demonstration in November.
Yeah, I remember that. You were there.
Yeah. Let me just pull up this agenda. All right, groovy. Okay, so again, I'm not gonna, be super strict on how I'm gonna run this thing. And Ms. Malden, I'll probably hand most of it off to you. Okay. I know you guys run through this twice already, so want to bring me up to speed, and Mr. Lukakis and whoever else is on this line, that would be great. But let's jump into it with committee presentations.
All right, we'll have Mr. Dumas, who will actually be taking the service changes that are coming on board.
Great.
Okay, well, hello, committee chair Edminster, and to all the CAT board members, and thank you, Ms. Malden. If you would allow me a moment to bring up my screen to share that information with you all.
That's cool. I love it when it does that.
There we go. So I just want to touch bases again with the proposed fall 2020 schedule service change. We have presented this to you last month, but we're presenting it again today. we have an adjustment in the service hour cost per hour for service. And so we want to reflect those numbers on this presentation to you and allow you to ask any questions that you may have at the end of this presentation. We're focusing on our service optimization. So we are reducing service to optimize our holiday schedule. It's Holiday Plus. So we're adding service in addition to the holiday service. We're adding more service to that. The schedule will include 11 Candler and 20 Skidaway Island Coffee Bluff route, which does not typically run on holidays. And to help with social distancing during peak hours, we're adding additional buses on Route 10 East Savannah, the 14 Abercorn, and the 17 Silk Hope. We will continue to monitor all of our routes and add additional buses that may be needed on a daily basis. Our service will continue to end at 10 o'clock p.m. Monday through Saturdays. Our costs, we looked at our current fixed route daily service revenue costs, and these are the hours that we're doing now, weekdays, Saturday and Sunday, and the cost for those revenue hours. Of course, the new service that we'll do in November will not reflect Sunday because Sunday service will be temporarily suspended, along with the 100X Airport Express. These calculations are based on $120 per hour for service costs on our fixed routes. As we look to optimize our schedule on our core routes, we look to reduction in our peak vehicles, meaning that during the busiest time of our service, we currently have 36 vehicles. We will reduce that slightly to 34, meaning that we're going to put more vehicles out to service less people, but allows us to continue with social distancing. Our monthly core revenue hours will be reduced by 1,235 hours. That's 10.7% decrease. And the cost per 30 days will be reduced by $138,096. Again, a Sunday service will be temporarily suspended for deep cleaning of our buses, but also because of the ridership that we've looked at also. So it's not been one of the most productive days in quite a while. And so we're going to look at temporary suspending the Sunday service. Our proposed service frequency, Monday through Saturday, are indicated here. And this will allow customers a quick glance, as you as well as the board members, to kind of get an idea how long a passenger may wait in order to catch a bus on this particular line. Knowing that we are increasing service on Route 14, which is the largest route that we have with ridership, during the peak time, we will be increasing 15 minutes frequency instead of 20 minutes. So during peak time, you catch a bus every 15 minutes on that route. And we've also looked at routes that were underperforming. And so we just kind of shifted the service where it needs to be. And that's the end of this presentation. If you have any questions, of course, I'll be glad to answer anything those.
All right. All right, that concludes the service changes.
Quick question. So the Airport 100X is gone in this plan, and Sunday service is gone in this plan. Cool.
Yes, sir.
The last table that you showed is the one that we've been relying on primarily to communicate the changes in this service, which is a helpful document, but I also find it, I think it may be confusing for some folks or that. So I just want to make sure that as we move to, because I would imagine that we're going to try to stick onto this November 2nd schedule or whatever we're calling this for some time, for foreseeable time. And so just making sure that we are communicating that as clearly as we can. And so if I'm using the bus and I'm using Route 14, where will I know what the updated expected route times are? For some of those that said the bus will come 4 times a day, where can I find where those 4 times a day are? And how is that updated? That sounds like a tremendous amount of work. Is that stuff that Brandon's working on?
I was gonna say, I think Miss Harris Moorhead was actually gonna, I saw her hand up.
Yes, ma'am. And hello, Mr. Edminster. Yes, I wanted to share with you that the team has been working on their communications plan regarding the updated changes for November 2nd. Tomorrow evening, we will have a public community meeting where Mr. Dumas will again present the PowerPoint presentation that he presented to you. In addition to that, our media announcement, our news release went out this morning regarding the changes, and additional information will be pushed out on social media and on the website. And one of the most important projects that we are currently working on is we're working with Smart Maps, our vendor, on updating our route schedules. And as a matter of fact, late last night, the new route schedule proofs came in. And so the team is getting ready to start reviewing those schedules. But it's our intentions to have printed schedules available for customers and online on the website prior to the change. So that's what we're working on right now.
What does it look like with communication with Google's information, what Google knows about us? Because that's been a way that I've primarily gotten around, is using Google Maps. Will that be updated?
Ren is shaking her head. And prior to when I did wear the planning hat before, yes, there's a certain file that is prepared that is basically uploaded to Google so that Google Transit will have our information as well.
That's really cool.
It is.
Huge document.
Yes.
Gary.
Ms. Dice, did you have something to add to that?
No, I was just totally agreeing. You guys are seeing my face and I'm shaking my head or nodding my head. But yes, that data has already been uploaded to Google, and they know that November 2nd hits, or probably November 1st, and they're going to change that data on Google for us.
All right, great. I would say that that's a really, because there's two things that people need. Changes are coming, and what are those changes? And the first one is message, change is coming. Okay, but the other one is extremely complex. And I honestly think that for a lot of end users, the Google may be where they find their actual information for when to leave their house and catch the bus. So that's cool. I'm glad to hear that.
And Ms. Freni has also shared information with me about how other agencies have communicated similar route changes. And so she has brought some of those suggestions forward as well. And we're investigating other ways to actively communicate those changes.
Great.
In addition, remember, we brought online an alert text system last month. And so our communications manager is also using that system to communicate with customers about the upcoming changes, as well as the e-news weekly publication email newsletter that we push out. So just wanted to remind you about those other tools as well.
Yeah. The text messaging is working. When I walked into the ITC today, a rider walked up to me, didn't know who I was, but said, "Hey, I got a text message about the service changes, and I think this is great." And so did one of our staff members. So great job, team.
Yes, got a great team.
Morning. Very exciting. All right. Well, let's not take up any more time on that. Are we good on there? And if so, let's move on to 2B.
Okay. 2B, Beverly, if you would pull up that presentation. I'm sure that it is not shocking to you that we're moving forward with a budget amendment. The first letter of SCORE is stabilizing and strengthening our finances, and we're taking a giant leap in that direction by proposing a balanced amended budget. The budget that was passed in June, shortly before my official arrival, was about 27.7. The amended budget that we're going to be putting before you is 24.4. And so $3 million gone. but that $3 million is gone because of reduced revenues that we've received in the form of going fairless for all these months. Receipts are down from the county. Expenses have gone up because of all the additional cleaning and other expenses related to how this agency has responded to COVID. So all of those factors have been taken into consideration. We have worked very hard as an internal team of people from all over the agency. This has definitely been a family exercise as we have worked to come up with this amended budget. And I don't think that we would have been able to reduce it to the level that we have had it not been for the effort of everyone across the agency. And so you saw the service reduction slides that were adjusted a little bit because we really did drill down our cost per hour, our just overall service costs, because it's hard to talk about expanding the service if you don't know how much the service costs. And so just briefly, our cost ratios are that fixed route service is around $120 per hour. The paratransit is around $85 per service hour, and the ferry service is around $255 per service hour. So just wanted to put those numbers out there because we think it's very important that everyone in the entire organization from top to bottom understands how much it costs to run this agency. And so if you'll go to the next slide, Ms. Dumas. So as I said, the team has been working together. We finalized that budget yesterday by 5 p.m. We are putting together an actual budget book, and we will be hand delivering a draft of that budget book to all of the board members by Friday, so that you can start combing through it, coming up with your questions, and preparing for the budget workshop. That date has changed. November 3rd, of course, is election day, and we definitely don't want to stand in the way of anyone's civic obligation. And so we will be moving that meeting to Thursday, November 5th. That was the recommendation that was brought down from the other committees, and we hope that this committee would be agreeable to that as well. We will have the first reading and public meeting, which will be a community meeting on November 11th at 5:30. And then, of course, we'll have the second reading, public meeting, and board approval of the budget amendment on November 17th at the board meeting. So that is really just the rundown of how we would like to see this process go. And then, of course, in January, we get to do it all over again because we'll be working on next year's budget. So that is all that we have for that. I'll entertain any questions that you may have about the process.
No question. It's fine.
All right. Thank you very much. And I have to give a shout out to Ms. Jeray Williams and to Gloria Royal and the whole finance team. Ms. Williams led the budget amendment effort and strongly supported by Ms. Royal and the rest of the finance team. So a huge shout out to all of them for their work on this amended budget.
Great job. Budgets are fun. Wow, we have so many proposed agenda items for the October 27th board meeting.
We've been working hard.
All right. Are we covering all of these?
Well, none of them were taken off. I will tell you this.
All right.
We will try to run through them as quickly as possible. I can run through them, or I can toss them to you, Ms. Harris-Moorhead, if you want to go through all of them as the committee liaison.
Can I propose we skip A and B because we've been doing those, and I feel like I got a good idea of what they are.
Perfect.
Unless they're new, everything else does look pretty new. So let's get into that.
Ms. Malden, I would love for you to take the lead since you've had great practice this morning with the other two committees. You've done
Okay.
a splendid job.
So C, of course, it's just the renewal of APTA dues. I think all of you understand why it's important to be a part of APTA.
Definitely.
So it's a renewal of our dues. So
Done. How much is that?
It's about 20 grand, but it's worth it.
Oh, yeah.
It's worth it.
$1,000 send it to them.
But I will say this, especially this year in particular, APTA has been an invaluable resource.
Oh yeah.
They really stepped up to the plate this year. And I think that if you were not a part of APTA, you missed a lot of information. And you missed the inside track to being able to advocate to get more funding, the CARES Act funding. They're working on, our funding now, trying to get a second one through. And so through our membership in APTA, we're able to be a part of those efforts. So, I mean, they're really, really doing a good job.
You're preaching to the choir. I couldn't agree more. I think it's an excellent investment. Good ROI.
All right, I'm going to toss it to David Stearns to take DEFGH quickly.
Thank you, Ms. Molden. So D, E, F, G, and H, I'll just summarize as saying these are just revisions to existing policies, part of our continued effort to update all CAT policies and bring them before the board each year. I will be providing you with the drafts and the comparison to the old policies like I have done in the past. So I expect that to come your way in the next day or so. And then that'll provide you with what we're proposing with the old policy, and the comparison and what has been changed will be tracked in that. Really, I think that's it. We do have, it's the harassment and discrimination and retaliation. We're combining some policies there. ADA and records management, we're going to be following the state schedule, so that's pretty straightforward. FMLA hasn't changed that much, and progressive discipline is pretty much where it's been. But I'll take any questions if there are any.
I'm not going to ask any. Then I'll just bug you about it if I got any.
Okay. All right. I and J, we're requesting permission to move forward with 2 grant applications. Grant world is my world. And of course, we're going to want to apply for any and everything that comes down the pipe that we qualify for. The county, as well as our governmental affairs consultant, as well as the city, we've all been in contact talking about why we should apply for these funds. One, there are 2 projects that we're looking at for the transit-oriented development pilot. One is a study of adding a ferry stop to the Eastern Wharf development and adding that to maybe an intermodal that includes a bus stop, bike share, all in one package. The other thing we're looking at is a BRT study, bus rapid transit study of the 14 Abercorn. And turning that into a high frequency, high capacity type of mode. And so we're looking at both of those as a very quick turnaround. Because of how the timeline lays out, we felt like it was important to still go before the board so that you all knew that, so that you all would know that we were trying to seek those funds. And in terms of the COVID-19 research, we're looking at a way to do contactless fares, as well as temperature checking for our paratransit operators. We think that focusing on our most vulnerable transit population would be something that would set us aside and make us very competitive in terms of a grant application. And so that's what we're planning to submit on for both of those grants. So
the DoD is really interesting, especially the BRT on Route 14. And how would you tie that to the development aspect?
Well, there's been such a population shift. There's been such a population shift, especially out to that corridor, until and again, that's why we want to study it. So this is not for the actual development. This is for the study of the development. So that's one of the questions we're hoping to get answers to if we go down that route and doing the planning study.
Did you vote today?
I did.
That's cool. I yet, but I just saw your sticker. Yeah, I'm all about TOD. I think that's really great. I mean, that's two very different projects. That's kind of an interesting approach. I think it's great. I'm good.
All right. So then we've already gone over the budget amendment, adoption calendar. We've gone over the service changes. The only thing that's left is the diversity and inclusion assessment. You know, I walked in the door last June saying that was one of the things that we wanted to do. I committed to doing it. We brought consultants in. They did an extensive research in terms of the environment at our organization, and they're going to present their findings to the board at the board meeting. I'm not excited about the results, but we got some work to do. But
that presentation, that'll be fun.
Yeah, they're going to do the presentation, and that's it for the proposed agenda items.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything to say or? Okay, I've got just a couple things I wanted to transmit real quick. I got an email from somebody. He said that he wanted the headers on the buses to include the route numbers when they say that they are full. And that would help him and other riders understand that the bus that just passed me by was the right bus that I'm waiting for, especially on routes that have multiple buses moving on them.
He's wanting the header just to say that it's full, because I think I've seen that.
Yeah, yes, but also, maybe 14 full.
Okay.
Because right now it just says full, and if you're on MLK Street, there's like 3 different routes that go down there, and I could definitely see how that could be confusing. So
right. We'll look into that. I will be honest, I'm not sure what all goes into changing those headers.
And me neither.
In terms of so we will definitely investigate that and to see if that is a possibility, and if that's not, we'll come up with a workaround, because we definitely want to make sure that our customers have as much information as possible, even if we have to go primitive and put a sign up in the window. A brightly colored sign, whatever we need to do to make sure we're communicating with our customers, we'll do it.
Is anybody yelling at us about removing 100X?
Not really.
Okay.
Well, because it hasn't stopped yet, so not yet. Now, we have gotten, ironically, some travelers who were doing their research ahead of time, who were planning trips and planning to use the 100X. We have had that, just as we're talking about taking it away. But again, I don't think that it should be a permanent disappearing act. I think this gives us the opportunity to reimagine what that could look like. I think we could bring it back in a more efficient way. And so I think I look at it as an opportunity. So
excellent.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm not going to hold you all any longer. I just got to congratulate everybody on sticking through 3 meetings that must have been fairly like this. Maybe not. I don't know what the other ones are like. There's nothing else to say. Then let's just keep on and keep the work going. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a fantastic day.
Yeah. Stay safe, everybody.